Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. Got a message from one of our subscribers, viewers the other day, saying he'd like to see us talk about pass protection involving the sniffer from some of our two-back stuff. So I figured I'd go ahead and do a video on our pass protection stuff. I know we've talked about it briefly in the past, so today I'll just go over it a little bit more in depth, give you kind of what we do, how we do it. I'll show you probably what some other people do, and then I'll talk to you about why we do what we do and why we don't do what some other people do. I got a chance this past weekend to go down to the Orlando Nike Coach of the Year Clinic. Great time. You get to see some other coaches. You get to talk ball and listen to ball the whole weekend. And, you know, it's really amazing the progression of your coaching career. When I was GA in college at 23, 24 years old, and when I was a head high school football coach at 26 years old, I used to go to clinics and I used to think that I was going to go listen for the best play and formation that could score 50 points on offense, and I was going to go listen for the best blitz and coverage on defense that you know, that could get shutouts. And you know, you end up finding out at clinics that there's really no way in an hour and 10 minutes that somebody can give you a magic bullet that defends everything or that is good, you know, against everything to score 50 points. And now as I'm a little bit older and I've been doing this for 17 or 18 years now, what you end up finding out is that when you go to a clinic for 2 or 3 days, if you find 1 or 2 things that help your program, and it doesn't even have to be X's and O's, it might be, you know, it might be something in strength and conditioning, it might be something in speed and agility. You know, maybe you pick something up that was philosophical, maybe you pick something up about dealing with athletes or how you deal with problems on your team. Whatever you go to a clinic and pick up, or whenever you go to a clinic and you pick up 1 or 2 little things that help your team, you've already benefited as a football coach. Okay, so, you know, don't get caught in the habit of going to clinics and in 50, 60-minute sessions, you think a guy's going to be able to break down something and give you something that you take back to your place, and it's just going to be the be-all, end-all of schemes. You know, if you really want to break down how people do things, I think you're going to have to visit them on their campus. You're going to have to watch them practice. You're going to have to get in their film room, and then if you're fortunate enough, maybe be able to spend some time with the staff to actually go through and say, okay, here's what we do, here's how we do it, here's all the adjustments we make. All right, so if you're going to clinics, you know, enjoy yourself, have a good time with your staff, see some other staffs and friends from around the state or around other areas that you may have played in the past. But just make sure you understand you're looking for 1 to 2 little things that can help make you a better football coach or make your program a little bit better. All right, don't go to a clinic thinking that you're coming back with a full offense or a full defense that is going to win you a state championship. All right, so you know, some of the things, in speaking about that, some of the things that I've picked up, Hugh Freeze is a head football coach at Ole Miss, and great offensive mind. Ole Miss is doing a great job the last couple of years of their recruiting classes and their offense. And you know, something that I got from him that reassures to me that we are taking the right approach with our offense is he said, if you're going to enter the tempo world, you are leaving the check world. All right, and again, I've said it on several videos before, if you're going to be an up-tempo team, not a no-huddle team, an up-tempo team, because you can be a no-huddle team and still be a check-with-me team. If you're going to be an up-tempo team, you are leaving the check world. All right? And what that means is you have to be comfortable building things into your offense in the tempo game, all right? And he called them his tempo menus, okay? You have to be comfortable having things in your tempo menu that have a few answers and a few options for your quarterback to make pre and post snap, because you are not checking at the line of scrimmage based on the look the defense gives you. All right, so, you know, again, that just kind of reconfirmed to me that, you know, that we were doing the right thing with our tempo offense. You know, by no means do I sit here and say that we do it like Ole Miss or as good as Ole Miss does. There's a reason they're in college. There's a reason we're in high school. Okay? But philosophically, I feel like we're on the right page because, you know, one of the first things I always tell people is when you enter the tempo world, you leave the check world, and you have to be willing to live with that as a football coach. So, it was real nice to hear, Coach Freeze say that and tell everybody, first and foremost, if you're going to enter the tempo world, you're leaving that check with me world. If you're not comfortable with that, don't enter, all right, the tempo world. And, when you get a piece of information like that, it just really makes you feel like you're doing things the right way philosophically, okay? Also, when I go, I heard a lot of defensive football coaches talk about the same things. They want their kids to play fast, play smart, play physical, all right? So, philosophically, as an up-tempo team, what are we trying to do? We're trying to create a bunch of stress mentally and physically on the defense so that they cannot play fast, they cannot play smart, and they cannot play physical. All right? So it's just a chess match between two mindsets that you're trying to create. All right? And the defense wants to play fast, smart, and physical, and we want to try and create as much mental and physical stress so that they can't play as fast, all right? They can't play as smart or as physical. All right? So it's just that chess match and philosophically understanding what the defense is trying to do, all right, and then understanding exactly what we're trying to do to affect the philosophy and the mindset of the defense. Okay, because it's okay, and I think every offensive coach or every football coach, you've got to have your own offensive philosophy, okay? But if your offensive philosophy can affect the defensive philosophy, all right, then in turn, all right, not only are you following and sticking to what you believe in as a coach, all right, you are also trying to affect what they believe in as a coach, all right? And with any other scheme or anything else you do, you better have confidence and belief in what you're doing, all right? You better have full confidence and full belief in what you're doing, all right? And Coach Cutcliffe from Duke mentioned that, you have to get everybody to buy into your scheme, and they had better have 100%, all right, undying belief in your scheme, and they better not question your scheme, and you as a coach and a leader have to get them to believe in your scheme and schematics, okay, to the utmost of your ability, because as soon as they start to question the scheme, everything else from there is going to fall apart. All right, so just a couple little tidbits when you're going to clinics, some things I picked up this weekend, just some things that can help you and help you understand, or at least help you, kind of get a better idea that you are moving in the right direction with what you're trying to do. All right, so today we're going to talk about pass protection. And again, I'm going to talk to you about what we do and what I believe in and why I believe in it, okay? By no means is it the best thing out there. By no means is it what everybody does. By no means am I saying this is what you should do. What I'm saying is this is what we do, it's why we do it, all right? And it's how it kind of ties in and builds into some other things, okay? So, I'm going to stick right now to all two-back sets because the comment and email that I got from one of the viewers, and it was about two-back protections with the sniffer, all right, or the fullback, whatever you want to call them. And I like trying to do videos when I get these comments and emails, because the reason I started doing this was to create a connection and help people, all right, maybe grow their knowledge in the game of football. It helps me grow my knowledge in the game of football. So without people viewing, all right, there's really no reason to stand in front of a camera and do a video or a blog. So I want to make sure that I'm getting back and hitting on things that people want to hear about. All right, so we're going to stick with two-back protections for right now. We'll go over even, we'll go over odds, 7-man, 8-man, all right, and figuring out how we use our fullback in protection, okay? One of the first things I think you have to understand, okay, is how many guys are you going to utilize in protection. You have 5-man protections, 6-man protections, 7-man protections, all right? You have to make sure you understand how many you're going to utilize in protection. I think the next thing you have to understand is somebody releasing into a route is also part of your protection based on how you want to throw hot and keep blitzers off your quarterback. So just keeping a guy into block, all right, doesn't mean that you're using him in protection. You can release a guy on a route and use him in protection as well. Okay, so make sure you keep that in mind. All right. one thing I learned early on in my career as a GA, when you are scheming up protection, make sure you always try and keep your guys that do pass protection on their guys that do pass rush as much as possible, okay? In a drop back pass setting, try and keep your backs off of their D linemen, especially in high school when you can't cut, because that guy does pass rush for a living, your running back doesn't do pass protection for a living. So always try and match up your pass protection guys with their pass rush guys, okay? And try and keep your backs on linebackers if you can, all right? So in a generic two-back scheme for us, we are always going to get one of the backs out into the route, and the other back is going to be in protection, okay? The other back is going to be in protection. We're always going to get one in a route, and we're going to get another one in protection. Now, again, philosophically for us as an up-tempo offense, all right, one of the things that up-tempo offenses do is it kind of cuts back your playbook a little bit, okay? So for us, all right, we don't have as many routes for the running backs as a lot of other teams would, all right? But in turn, we also only have 3 to 4 drop back concepts that we carry into games, all right? So I don't feel like I need 15 different routes for the running backs and all types of check releases for the running backs because we don't drop back and throw the football that often, okay? I also don't feel like we need that many routes for the running backs because high school quarterbacks very rarely get from progression 1, progression 2, progression 3, progression 4. Usually in high school it's 1, 2, throw it away or get out. All right? So it's very tough to go through progression 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and hit that 4th check down. Okay? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying, whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying in my experience in high school football, based on pass protection, okay, based on pass protection of your offensive lineman versus defensive lineman, okay, and also based on, all right, the fact that you don't throw as many drop back passes, you are very rarely going to be able to progress from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 check downs, whatever it may be. So usually, all right, in high school it's 1, 2, throw the ball away, get out, maybe check it down. All right, so we don't feel like we need an inordinate large amount of running back routes in our drop back passing game. Okay, so normally for us, if we're going to throw some type of drop back concept, one of these two players is going to be in the route. Okay, so for right now, let's say we've got the fullback drawn up in the route. Okay, who and how you ID the Mike is very important. All right, and when you ID the Mike linebacker, that doesn't mean it's the defense's Mike linebacker. It's who your center is indicating that he and the offensive line are working to. That's the ID on the Mike. Okay? So when you see all these football games on TV and you see all these guys working and the quarterbacks coming up and saying, hey, Mike 52, Mike 52, they're IDing the protection to figure out which way they're turning it to work to so the running backs and the quarterback can figure out where they are working to. And if the quarterback has to throw hot, he has to figure out where he's working to, okay? So IDing the Mike linebacker means who you're going to work to with your lineman. It doesn't mean the Mike on defense, okay? So for us, what we would do, if we're seeing a 7-man structure, all right, and we have a 6-man protection, obviously somebody in our offense is going to have to double read 6 and 7, all right, because 7 outnumbers 6 every time, okay? So for us, what we are going to do, away from the side that we want to throw the ball, all right, we are going to half slide, which means we're going to turn our offensive line away from the side we want to throw the ball, okay, and we are going to declare who we want to ID, all right, as the Mike linebacker. In other words, where I want the center to go, okay. So normally for us, generally, we are going to turn the center to the first linebacker, all right, backside from the play side throw, okay? All right, so I'll give you a 4-3 look, all right, and then I'll give you an 8-man front next, and they present two different problems to me, all right? So I'm going to show you how we do it, all right? But we are going to put the center on the first linebacker away from, all right, the throwing side. So right here, we would ID the Mike for us. That's the Mike linebacker for us. Okay, that's how we ID it. I know he's got a W drawn on the board. He's the will in premise. When we ID the pass protection, that's the Mike linebacker. So that's who we want to take, the 4 down and the Mike. All right? So now that my 5 offensive linemen, they now know who the 4 down and the Mike are. Okay? I talked about this in a previous video. Easiest way to teach half slide protection in high school football. Okay? And maybe in all of football, I don't know. All right? First uncovered man on the play side starts to turn back. And when I draw up odd fronts, stacked fronts, bare fronts, I'll show you how these rules can get your kids to figure out who they're supposed to be blocking. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing with pass protection. Keep it simple. Make sure your kids know who they're supposed to block so you don't have any protection breakdowns. You're going to have enough physical breakdowns in high school football. You don't need mental protection breakdowns. Also, if you're only going to throw 8 to 10 drop back passes a game, you want to make sure that you don't have assignment busts on 5 of the 8 drop back passes. If you're only throwing it, all right, 5-step game, you're only throwing it 8 times, you want to make sure that of those 8 times, your quarterback has a chance to be on his feet to throw a ball down the field. Okay? That's who we're going to ID. All right? So right now, we've got a pass that we are working with a right side concept. All right? So we're going to start on the right side, and the offensive linemen, if they're covered, they're blocking big on big. So the tackle's covered. He's got a guy head up to outside. He's blocking big on big. The guard is covered. He's got a guy head up to outside. He's blocking big on big. The center starts to turn, all right, because he's the first uncovered lineman. All right, center starts to turn. He's got the A gap. The guard's got the B gap. The tackle's got the C gap. So right now, all right, if you really want to look at it, these 3 offensive linemen have those 3 defensive players any way they want to come. They can work any game they want. My 3 have their 3, and on paper we're in great shape. That doesn't mean we're going to pick up the stunts. That doesn't mean we're going to protect it. On paper, my 3 have those 3. The center cannot let anybody go back across his face. He cannot let the A shade or the 1 go across his face because the guard is big on his side, so he's not going to get any help. All right, he's not going to get any help. Okay? Now, the tailback will now be involved double reading. Okay? Double reading inside to outside, Mike to Sam linebacker. What that means is he's got the Mike first to the Sam second. If either one of them blitz, okay, he can pick one of them up and our quarterback's in good shape. If they both blitz, the quarterback's got to get the ball out of his hands, okay? And that's always the way I teach it to the quarterback, all right? When you're double reading a protection, if it's either, you're good. If it's both, we're hot, okay? So we use either or both. If either of them come, okay, meaning one of them, all right, we're good. If they both come, we got to throw the ball hot. That is in a 6-man protection. We are leaving a back in. Now, the sniffer is out in the route, but he's part of the protection because as he's out in the route, he's part of the hot throw. So if you were to get both of these backers blitzing and the quarterback throws the ball hot to the sniffer, he's part of the protection because he's part of the hot throw. All right? He's part of the quarterback having to throw the ball hot versus that blitz. To me, that's part of the protection, even though he's not physically blocking anybody. Okay? So again, that would be how we would block that scenario. Okay? How we would block that scenario. That front, 7-man front, too high. I don't think I can get an 8th man unless they roll down to it, and that's something game plan I have to know. I don't think I can get an 8th man, so we are going to turn back, declare the will is the Mike, double read inside to outside with the back, okay? And then again, after you double read, there's normally some type of check down involved, depending on what routes you're running. If you were running some type of shallow concept or some type of crossing, his check down may go into his own crossing route. That's all based on the patterns that you're running, the drop back theories that you're doing, all right? You have to understand what the concepts and the routes are, whether that guy's going to check down, whether he's going to run some type of, all right, drag or cross, whether he's going to run an angle route or a shoot route. All those routes have to be built into your other drop back concepts. Okay? Now, if you were seeing, let's go through the same scenario with everybody where they belong, and let's go through the odd front. Okay? So again, everybody's where they belong. Let's go through the odd front. So now maybe you get, all right, Okie 3-4. All right, whatever the case may be, you've got the odd front now. We're going to say that the sniffer is out in the route. Still part of the protection to me, but out in the route. All right? Right side is the throwing side. Big on big for everybody that's covered. So the tackle's covered, he's big on big. First uncovered lineman starts to turn. The guard is uncovered in the Okie front. So he turns to his A-gap inside. Center turns. Guard turns. Tackle turns. Okay? And again, when I say turn, I don't mean one gap turn. I mean they're pass setting to that gap where they belong. Okay? Obviously a little bit firmer on the inside, a little bit deeper on the outside, but that guard is physically pass setting into the A-gap, B-gap, C-gap there. Okay? Those 4 offensive players have these 4 defensive players. Okay? The tailback and the quarterback have double read 1 to 2. First play side inside, the first play side outside linebacker. Okay? First play side inside, the first play side outside linebacker. Double read. Either of them come, we're good. Tailback picks them up. They both come, ball comes out of the quarterback's hands, hot throw somewhere built into the route concept. Okay, hot throw, so that when these guys blitz, quarterback gets the ball out of his hand, they'll stop bringing pressure if they can't get there. Okay, so that would be versus an Okie front. All right. All right. If, for argument's sake, you get some type of bear front, okay? The bear front's always going to cause some type of, all right, some type of adjustment, wrinkle, but it won't cause a wrinkle to your lineman up front with their rules, okay? It may cause a wrinkle with who you double read or, you know, exactly how many guys you release depending on what their front is, but I'll just show you as far as a rule is concerned with your offensive lineman how it won't cause a wrinkle for your offensive lineman in a half slide protection. Okay, so let's just say for argument's sake, all right, for argument's sake you had, all right, double eagle, all right, double eagle concepts right there, all right, double eagle concepts. We want to throw the ball to the right, all right, we're going to get that back out, all right, and now we want to say in our half slide protection to the call side, throw side, everybody's big on big. The first uncovered lineman starts the turn. He's covered, so he stays. He's covered, so he stays. He's covered, so he stays. He's covered, okay? We really don't have a turn in this protection. All right? There's no first uncovered lineman to start the turn. All right? In the even front with the 3 technique front side, the first uncovered lineman was the center, so he turned. Against the Okie front, the first uncovered lineman was the play side guard, so he turned. Well, now we don't have an uncovered lineman, so nobody turns. All right? A lot of times we'll make a lock call just to reaffirm it, but by rule, nobody's uncovered, nobody turns. So our 5 have their 5. Where you get into an issue now is if you're trying to double read the tailback front side, that backside will linebacker is going to become a real issue. All right? So again, not getting into formations and coverages and where they may be. All right? What you got to understand is, okay, first of all, if you're getting double eagle, and let's just say for argument's sake you had a slot set out here and a single out here, there's only so many things they can do to the slot with those 7 in the box. All right? There's only so many things they can do. All right? So again, if they want to keep some type of too high structure, okay, they can't cover down on the slot with a too high structure in a double eagle front. Okay? So maybe you don't want to drop back and throw the ball if they're doing that. Maybe just throw uncovered, throw quick game. But I get it. It's 3rd and 8. You absolutely have to throw the ball. All right? So now what you may need to do is if it's a too high structure, all right, you may need to game plan that week that your double read with your tailback is inside to inside, Willie to Mike. okay, Willie to Mike, all right? So you may need to get it to where you double read, all right, Willie to Mike. Now, the next thing that you could do is you could go ahead and say, hey, you know what? All right, whether it's 2 high, 1 high, we can handle the down 5, we can handle the backside 6, let the quarterback handle 7 and 8, all right? So let's say, for argument's sake, they bring a free safety or a strong safety down here with a free safety in the middle, okay? One of the first adjustments we can make is we make a tough call, and the tough call tells the tailback to go away from the call side, okay? So, we're big on big with everybody up front. Nobody turned to protection, all right, because they were all covered. All right, but we got ourselves into a little bit of an issue on the backside because we ran out of a number, so we made a tough call and we put the tailback away from the protection. So now, all right, my quarterback knows there is nobody double reading the front side. Okay? There's nobody double reading the front side. So now my quarterback knows if either of those backers blitz, I'm throwing the ball hot. Okay? I'm throwing the ball hot. If either of them blitz. Because I consider this, all right, I consider this to the play side of 5-man protection. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, Coach, there's 6 guys in the protection. Yes, I fully understand that. But to the play side progression, where I have my quarterback looking and reading for hot throws, there is not a back in blocking and double reading with him. So I consider that a 5-man protection for the quarterback, and front side, he has to have either the Mike or the strong blitz, and he throws hot. Okay? Either. When it's a 6-man protection and he has a back double reading with him, they both have to blitz. When it's a 5-man protection or he doesn't have a back with him, either one of them blitz and we have to throw the ball hot. So now we've got some type of route concept, all right, where we've got something going to the flat, maybe something coming in, all right, 3-man snag. You've got a hot throw and a hot throw that you can make right now. Okay, so that's built in that if these guys want to blitz, the ball comes out of his hand. That might be something against double eagle. Your linemen don't have a problem. They're locked. Nobody's uncovered. Nobody starts to turn. Okay, nobody's uncovered. Nobody starts to turn. But you have a problem with a backside player that you can't get to because you can't ID the mic and turn anybody back to him because you're locked up front. You don't want to put a back on an end and turn the whole thing one way or the other. So now maybe you need to make a tough call and put your tailback backside on the will, firm up the quarterback's backside, double read off the front side. He's looking that way and our progression reads anyways. Okay? So that's something you might be able to do. All right? The other one people are always going to ask about is the 3-3 stack. All right? 3-3 stack. Okay? Here's where, for me, a lot of the times I incorporate the sniffer into the blocking scheme. All right? 3-3 stack. All right? 2-back. What I like to do a lot of the time versus 3-3 stack, especially if it's 3-5-3 with 1 high, what I love to do is I love to go twins on one side, okay, and I love to put my fullback on the weak side in protection. All right? Because I think anytime you're facing an 8-man front, okay, anytime you're facing an 8-man front, I think you have to account, however you want to do it, you have to account for 4 blitzers from the weak side, which means the side the quarterback is not going to look at. Now, as you progress further along in the drop back passing game, and you get to major college football, NFL football, okay, they might have sight adjusts and protection checks and a whole bunch of other things that they are capable of doing, okay? I choose, in our up-tempo offense, not to do those type of things because I think it just creates confusion for our kids. That does not mean I'm right. That means that's how I choose to play and teach my kids, okay? If you got to the NFL, they would have a heck of a lot different way handling things than I do. That's why they're there and I'm here, okay? I choose to do things this way because it fits our up-tempo and it fits our protection schemes when we're only dropping back 8 to 10 times a game. So I think if you get 8-man fronts, all right, you had better keep somebody on the backside to protect the quarterback unless you're going to let him sight adjust the backside or do something else on the backside. We don't allow our quarterbacks to do that. We are going to progress, all right, from the middle of the field to our progression side, and we're going to make our coverage reads to help our progressions on our concept side. Okay, so what I would do here is, again, follow the rules for the offensive lineman. We're throwing the ball to the right. That's our concept side. All right. First uncovered lineman to the play side starts the turn. Okay, so the tackle's big on big. The guard starts the turn, so he's got the A gap, he's got the A gap, he's got the B gap, he's got the C gap. Okay, so what we're going to say now is our lineman, all right, because of the stack, there's not an even 2 down lineman on the away side like there was in that even front. So now we got to declare one of these linebackers, we got to declare as a down lineman, because our 4 are going to be able to block at least their 4. All right? So I've got 4 linemen because I'm using a strong side guard, play side guard, because he's uncovered. All right? I'm using him to turn the protection. It's a half slide protection. That means half the line is looking to slide one way in a zone concept, and half the line is in a man concept. All right? So we slide the protection back. My 4 have their 4. Big problem. They got one more over there that I can't handle. Okay? One more that I can't handle. So what I like to do versus 8-man fronts is I like to use the H-back with a heavy call. Okay? I tag heavy at the end of the play and I let my H know that he's in protection away from the concept side. Okay? That heavy call lets my tailback know you can get involved in the route on the play side because you're not in protection because I tagged heavy. So now, all right, I'm going to have some type of 3-man concept, curl seam, all right, flat, curl spot flat. All right, whatever it is, I'm going to have some type of 3-man progression concept on my play side. All right, and now my quarterback has to understand that to the concept side, there is no back in protection. So my quarterback must now understand I am going to read inside to out, first play side inside linebacker to first play side outside linebacker. Okay, first play side inside linebacker to first play side outside linebacker. All right, and the ball's got to come out of my hand hot if either one of those guys blitz. Okay, if either one of those players blitz, I must get rid of the ball. I don't have a back on my side in protection with me. He's free releasing in a route. So I'm responsible for those 2 backers. If either one of them blitz, the ball comes out hot. If I have a back double reading, okay, they both have to blitz to make it hot. Again, you have to understand when and where you have a back double reading with the quarterback because it becomes either of them blitzing is hot or both of them blitzing is hot. And you must teach your quarterback that, all right, concept in the hot read, hot throw game. All right, now, again, how you ID the mic is very important because before in the 4-3 front, okay, in the 4-3 front, you saw that we ID'd the will as the mic, okay, and we turned our lineman back to him and the quarterback had to read off the mic and the sim. Okay? Different fronts call for a little bit different teaching. The rules for the offensive line are the same. Because this is odd and okie, I gain a guard from the play side, which means I can pick up, okay, a backer. All right, I can pick up a backer to get 4 for 4 versus the 3-3 stack. All right. So again, that sometimes people can look at that and look at the 4-3 and go, well, coach, in the 4-3 you turn to the will. Okay, but in the 3-3 stack, you work the mic. Well, that's because one of these 2 linemen you have to consider as a down guy in the 3-3 stack. You have to consider that one of them is a down guy because you've got a guard turning. Your 4 can block their 4. Okay? Your 4 can block their 4. All right, so you have to be able to understand where you're getting your 4 for their 4. All right, again, if I go back to even fronts, and I'll draw it up with a shade on the front side now. If I go back to even fronts, okay, if I go back to even fronts now, and again, I'll you know, we can draw up, you know, for argument's sake, we can draw up the A shade or the nose on this side with the 3 and the 5 back here. Okay, so the A shade and the nose with the 3 and the 5 back here. All right, again, if for argument's sake you wanted to, all right, double read the front side and get a guy out, all right, and let's say we had, okay, we had that front, all right, we had that front, okay. What you have to look at is now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential blitzers when we start to turn, all right, 2 potential blitzers, 5 rushers. So again, within our rules now, throwing the ball to the right, play side, first uncovered man starts to turn, okay, so, cover, big on big. He now has an A shade, not a 3 technique. So he starts to turn. Okay? So we can now account for 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem you have now, very similar to the 3-3 stack, is that's the guy that you can't account for. Okay? To the play side, we're going to release a guy. Okay? We're going to release a guy. All right? So we can account for blitzers within our hot protection. So again, if I have a route that's working its way in here and a route that's working its way out there, I can account if those guys want to blitz, okay, obviously I can get the ball out of my hand, all right, get it out of my hand to a route that may be coming in or slightly vertical or a route that may be progressing out. Okay, the ball can get out of my hand. So the issue is not these two. The issue is this backer coming up and coming from the backside. So that's where we make the tough call and tell the tailback, hey, I'm worried about a 4th defender coming weak that I can't handle. All right? It's an 8-man front, single high defense. There's a 4th guy sitting back there all night long, and in high school you better get ready for that because there's a ton of 3-3, 1 high teams, and there's a ton of 4-4, 1 high teams. If they're 1 high, 8-man front, 4 can come from the quarterback's backside. The quickest way to get your quarterback shaken in the drop back pass game is have him get hit blindside. So you make sure you shore up and firm up that blindside. So we make that tough call, and we put that tailback back there right now, okay? We put that tailback back there right now in that tough call, and we shore up the backside, and I let my quarterback see the front side guys coming clean. All right? So now he knows that, hey, those 2 might come clean, and when I take the snap and start to progress into my read, if they're coming clean, I stop my drop and I get rid of the ball. Because coach has already told me that I cannot block those 2 guys in this protection. I have got to get rid of the ball. Okay? All right? Now, again, if you didn't have an 8-man front, and they only had 7 potential blitzers, all right, or 7 potential rushers, okay, not blitzers, but rushers, I apologize for that. They only have 7 potential rushers, okay. Now, you can ID the Willie, you can turn these 1, 2, 3, 4 are now blocked by your 4. So now it's him and him that we really can't handle, okay. We can't handle him or him. All right? So now that we can't handle those 2, we either have to take a back and double read with the quarterback, okay? Take a back and double read with the quarterback, all right? Or, all right? Or our choice is, okay, we could put our backs on their backers and then check release. All right? So what I'm going to draw up for you now is a little bit more traditional in upper level football, NFL football, all right, if they had two backs in the backfield, all right, if they had two backs in the backfield, all right, for argument's sake, we can even look at play action passing, whatever you want to look at. Let's say the NFL had that set. All right, two backs in the backfield, and they're getting the same, all right, pro 4-3, okay? Here's how a lot of NFL teams or upper level teams would handle that. They would still have slide, all right? They would still have slide, so they would be big on big because he's covered, turn to center, turn to guard, turn to tackle. And now what they would do is the fullback would go first backer inside, check. Tailback would go second backer inside, check. And then they would build in some type of check release routes if they didn't get blitz. So I'm the fullback, I got the mic. The mic doesn't come, all right, I run some type of crossing route, all right, back to the left side. I'm the tailback, I got the Sam doesn't come, I run some type of route there, or maybe I run check down. Okay? That's probably a little bit more realistic to how, you know, somebody at the upper level. Now, I don't coach in the NFL, I've watched it a bunch, I've talked to some guys there. I think that's a little bit more conducive to a two-back protection versus an even front. Okay? But that is also why in the NFL, you know, the plays are called, you know, flip right, doubles, X-jet, 68 counter naked waggle at 7X quarter. That's what the NFL plays sound like. Okay? They can do all those things with protection and routes because they're going to go ahead and say, hey, we want to run 685, H swing, T angle. That's what their play calls are like. Okay? When you're an up-tempo team, my play call sounds like this. Okay? My play call sounds like Colorado Red. That's my play call, okay? So I can't build all those things in there for these guys and then say, hey guys, we're going to run 643, Y cross, H flare, T angle. I can't build that in, okay? We can't build that into our system as an up-tempo team. So what we have to do, all right, for us at the high school level is we just build in simple routes and simple protections because we only throw the ball drop back 8 to 10 times a game. If Aaron Rodgers is throwing it 40 times a game, yeah, you better have some things, okay, built in that are a little bit, all right, a little bit more inclusive than what I'm doing as a high school football coach in my 8 drop back passes. Okay? In my 8 drop back passes. All right? So that might be how a team, all right, would block the 7-man even front if they were an NFL or a college team. Or maybe play action, that's how they would block it. Okay? All right? But for me, sometimes we have concepts where we're getting a third guy into the route. We put him in a route that's always going to be the same route so we don't have to tag it and have him learn 17 schemes because my fullback is also my Mike linebacker. So we just tell him, hey, if you're in the route, run an angle or run a shoot. Tailback, if you're in the route, run a flare. Okay? So you end up losing a lot of route concepts with your backs. You can get your back the ball. You lose a lot of route concepts, but you have the ability to get them in the route, know what they're doing without having to teach 9 million routes to them. Because you don't want to screw up the protection. Okay? So for us, we use the fullback into protection by releasing them into the route. Alright? So we use the fullback into protection by getting them out. Okay? That's one way we do it. We use the fullback into protection by putting them on the backside and leaving them in with a heavy call. Okay, that's another way we use the fullback, all right, in our protection. The last thing I'll talk about using the fullback in protection is when we want to throw two-back play-action passes. Okay, two-back play-action passes. For us, all right, a pretty good set for us is fullback sniffer there with a tail there because we have all our quarterback runs and tailback runs out of that set. Quarterback is a big run guy in our offense. Okay, all right, so for us, one of the things we might do, off of play action, depending on the type of coverage we're getting, okay, one of the things we might do, okay, is we may say, hey, based off our run game, we think we're going to get some safety action, we think we're going to get, all right, a certain coverage that they like to play. So we want to run the beater. We want to run 10-yard dig. We want to run post over the top of the dig, okay, all right? And then on the backside, we can have something built in, all right, where, you know, we can throw something that gets into the progression. We can throw something that we go to based on 1 high or 2 high. So for right now, let's just keep this as maybe shallow cross, okay? All right? When we drop back pass with 2 backs in the backfield, we full slide and replace with backs. So now we're not going to have slide. We're not going to start uncovered man starts the turn. We're full slide now, and we're almost gapping it out to where we're taking this tackle down in here, taking this guard down in here, center here, guard here, tackle here. Fullback fits tight off the tackle's hip where he's turning, away from where he's turning. Tailback off the fake fits tight off the fullback's hip. We have a 7-man full gapped out protection. Okay, 7-man full gapped out protection. This is what you would call full slide. Okay, so that's another way we incorporate our fullback or our sniffer into the blocking scheme. Play action passes, full slide, tight to the hip of the tackle that's sliding. One key point, anytime you're full slide and your tackle slides down to the inside, make sure your fullback, tailback, whoever's got the responsibility, make sure they go, okay, to the hip of where they're sliding and not where they line up. Because a lot of times the fullback will go to the hip of where the tackle's lined up, but then the tackle steps and slides. Now the hip of where I was is out there and there's air and we get a problem. Okay, so a better coaching point when it's going to be full slide protection, tell the fullback to go at the inside leg of the tackle, because by the time I step and gap down, my outside foot is kind of about where, all right, my inside foot was originally lined up. So again, full slide protection with a back on the edge. Don't aim for the outside foot of where I am in my stance because I'm going to slide the protection. Aim for where my foot is going to be. All right, so aim for my inside foot so that when I step slide, you're right tight to my hip and we've got that thing blocked up in 7-man protection. Okay, all right, again now, very simply, could you use your drop back rules and pick up, all right? Could you use your drop back protection rules and pick it up? You most certainly could, and a lot of teams do this, and then they get the backs out into routes. We don't, we full slide. If you were to throw play action passes with half slide protection, just follow your rules. Okay? Follow your rules now. You want to throw play action pass, half slide protection, they give you Okie front. Tackle to the right, okay? Big on big. Guard is uncovered, so turn, 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 okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 offensive linemen to block, therefore that can come, okay? Your fullback sniffer, you now have to take the mic if he blitzes. If he doesn't blitz, run some type of check down, all right? So maybe off of this, the check down is a cross coming back away from the shallow, okay? Now your tailback off the play action fake, you've got the Sam. If the Sam doesn't blitz, you keep it going into some type of flare, okay? Not the way I do it, maybe a little bit more, all right? Maybe a little bit more the way some of the bigger time guys do it so they can get the backs in the route off the check down. When I throw a play action pass in high school, 7-man protection, I'm throwing it down the field somewhere, trying to have a coverage beater, trying to take a predetermined shot, 7-man protection, so that when I call play action, I feel like my quarterback is going to be on his feet throwing the ball downfield. When I call play action, I'm not concerned with the backs getting out in the route and having 5 in the route, okay? Simply because at my level, when I call play action, it's a shot that I'm predetermining based off of coverage and a rotation or an aggressive play of the secondary. I want my quarterback standing up, physically taking chunks down the field when we call that type of pass. So I use a full slide with a fullback insert, tailback insert, 7-man protection. Okay, again, I've said this over and over again in different videos. Coach the level you're at. Coach to your philosophy. Okay? I can draw up protections and I can get the backs into the route with checkdowns. I can do that. It has nothing to do with whether you can or can't. I choose not to. I choose to keep it simple on my backs and my offensive linemen. Okay? I also am smart enough to realize that that's not the way it's done. If I walked into a college office or an NFL office and said, this is how I do it, I might get laughed out the room, okay? I know how to get the backs to check on linebackers and then run appropriate routes. I just don't like to build that into my up-tempo offense because it doesn't fit my philosophy. All right? There's not a lot of words you can say that let the backs know that you're checking this, going there. It's tough to do. Okay? Again, if I wanted to sit there and say, hey, we were going to go spread right, all right, spread right, all right, Z hot, 635, all right, H swing, T check. If I felt like I had time to do that, yeah, we could build in all those routes. But we're up tempo. I don't feel like we have time to do that. So I come out and I just say, hey, we're going to be, hey, spread right, okay? We're going to run spread right, and we're going to run zebra. All right, some type of play action pass. That's all I tell the whole team. All right, spread right, zebra red. Spread right, zebra rip. Spread right, zebra Ringo. Spread right, zebra rocket. Okay, zebra to the right side. That's all I tell my team. So I don't have the time or the communication to get it done the way that you would officially like to get it done. All right, or the way they do it maybe at the next level. All right, and again, just coach the level you're at. I love learning all the things they're doing in college and the NFL for myself. I love learning how they do it. I love studying protections. I love watching the backs run all the check down routes. I love the quarterback progressing down to the backs on the angles, okay, and on the Texas route, all right? And I love when they come out and the backs cross, they run post dig, and then the backs underneath add a cross element to it. After their check downs, they cross. I love all that stuff. I would love to do it. I don't think I can do it at my high school and be successful. Okay, so I choose at this level to go with a little bit more of a keep it simple, stupid method. All right, so we have two protections, full slide, half slide. That's all we use. Doesn't matter what the front is. We're either going to full slide it or we're going to half slide it. All right, we teach that from day one. We teach it to every front, and we work as hard as we can with the quarterback